Hello, and welcome to Fresh Blood, a podcast about killing it after 40, where we prove that new blood does not necessarily equal young blood. Here to discuss what it takes to have continued success through life, I'll be your host, Jolie Downs. With over 20 years of executive recruiting experience, I've learned how much we can grow and be inspired by other people's stories. I'm excited to share that with you here on Fresh Blood. Today, we are speaking with Kristy Sumner. In 2014, Dr. Kristy Sumner coupled her passion for travel, history, and the paranormal when she formed Soul Sisters Paranormal, an all-female team of investigators. Soul Sisters Paranormal traveled to some of the most historic and reportedly haunted locations in the U.S. in an attempt to determine for themselves if spirit activity does exist and to highlight the rich history of each location. The team has traveled to and investigated numerous U.S. locations, including the Lizzie Borden House in Massachusetts, the St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida, the Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary in Tennessee, and many others. Prior to forming Soul Sister Paranormal, Kristy was a senior director for a registered traveler company focused on biometric clearances, and she was a college professor at Metro State College of Denver and the University of Central Florida. I am really excited to learn more. Kristy, could you please tell us a little bit more about your story and getting to where you are today?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me this afternoon. I really appreciate that. My name is Kristy Sumner, and I'm the founder of Soul Sisters Paranormal. And as you stated in the bio, prior to that, my professional field was really started with 9/11. After those events, I got into aviation security. I switched my doctoral dissertation focus from criminal justice to biometric identification systems for airport access control.
Okay.
So I started working with a registered traveler program. I worked all over the country, traveling to different airports and helping to install different biometric identification systems, such as fingerprint readers and iris imagers and facial recognition imagers. And then I became a college professor. Go ahead.
What got you into that? I'm curious. I mean, I know 9/11 happened, right? But there's 9/11 happened and a lot of things happened to people during that time, you know, and it shifted them in different directions. What happened inside of you to shift you towards this direction? I'm curious.
Well, my master's was in criminal justice, and
Okay.
right around the time of that 9/11 happened, I was deciding on a doctoral dissertation focus direction. It was going to be drug activity in the Central Florida area, but I really wanted to focus more on something that we could use to prevent another 9/11. And so, because I live closely to Orlando and the Orlando International Airport, I started to really, again, delve into aviation security. So I went over and spoke to the aviation security director at Orlando International, and she put me in touch with the president of a registered traveler company, again, which installed biometric identification systems around the country. So that's really how I got into that. And that kind of morphed into teaching opportunities as well. Again, at Metro State College of Denver and the University of Central Florida, I taught different classes related to aviation security, aviation marketing and management. And so then, after that, I really started to become just a little burnout with corporate world. So my family is in Florida, has a lot of different property and property management opportunities in Florida. So I went back and started working with my family on that, and then just kind of morphed into, again, this interesting hobby / job / hybrid, if you want to call it, of paranormal investigations. The paranormal investigation side, it's a nonprofit. I mean, we don't take any profit for it. It's all self-funded. But through that avenue, it allowed me to open a historical museum with a friend of mine, and we offer historical tours as well as paranormal investigations and paranormal tours.
Very interesting. Okay, so let's back up really quick. When you started this paranormal investigations, what was your motivation here? How did this start in the first place?
Well, my sisters and I have always had a fascination with the paranormal. We'd watch popular television shows and movies of the time, really ghost hunters, ghost adventures, and such. And we said to ourselves, if we ever had the opportunity to go on a paranormal investigation, we would jump at that chance. Because like myself, my sisters also come from a very academic and research minded background. So my twin sister has a PhD. Our younger sister is a lawyer in DC. We had a friend, Cara, who's also a lawyer, and then Kim, who has a master's degree in education. So we had the opportunity to go to Moundsville, West Virginia in 2014. And we had a friend of the family's who sat on the board of the West Virginia State Penitentiary, which is reported to be one of the most haunted locations in the country. And so when we went, he said, why don't you take one of the nights that you're going to be in Moundsville and stay the night in the prison and see if you can connect with any of the resident spirits that we have there. So we jumped at that chance. We took some video cameras in, some digital voice recorders in, and we left the experience with what we felt was very compelling paranormal activity, or unexplainable activity, I should say.
Like
And
what?
after that, because of that experience, again, we wanted to form this team where we go to different locations, reportedly haunted locations, and tell the historical narrative of those locations, and then couple that with any paranormal activity that we find during our investigations there. Because our love of history really drives what we do, because we want to show our audience that these places need to be preserved. Aside from the paranormal aspect, they've got a very rich historical aspect as well. And so to be able to highlight those and highlight facts that some of our audience may not be aware of, that's really what our driving focus is. And then after that, like I said, we'll couple it with anything that we find that's unexplainable during our investigations.
I love this. You're capturing two different audiences, tying them together. And I love history. So you would capture me right there. And anything paranormal is just interesting.
It's different.
Yeah. So, I'm fascinated completely. And I love that this was something that you all loved growing up. It was something that you connected over. It's been this interest that you've shared. And then you've just decided, you know what? Let's just go do it. Let's just go create our own investigative team and do it. And you did. That's fantastic. Now, just really quick though, before we move on, you said that you had experiences in the penitentiary that were paranormal in nature. What were some of those experiences?
Well, that first night, that first investigation, as I said before, it was extremely rudimentary. And because we really didn't know what we were doing, we were just going to go in there and have a fun girls experience. But we went into several of the cell blocks and we had doors slamming when nobody else was there. We heard footsteps running at us down these corridors when we know that there was nobody else on the property. Yet these footsteps were so intense that you're expecting somebody to materialize out of the darkness in front of you, and nothing happened. We captured males' voices when we're an all-female team, yet we're capturing males' voices. And so that to us was unexplainable. And like I said, when we left the experience, it's something that we really wanted to pursue further. So to your point, we formed our team, we formed our name, we established our logo and had our theme music commissioned and such, because we felt if we were going to do this, we wanted to do it in a manner that would help elevate this essential subculture into a more mainstream, acceptable venture, if you will.
I love that you got your own theme music. Commissioned. You didn't just go grab something off the internet, which is what I did.
Yes, we found the composer and we commissioned him to do it. And it really fits what we wanted to have our audience hear, right? I mean, we have some mystery behind us. We're an all-female team. So I wanted something that was a little bit feminine, a little bit suspenseful, but yet not, like Michael Myers scary. So he absolutely nailed it. We went through several iterations of it, but the one that we decided on was just fantastic.
Oh, I'm going to go listen to it after this. So I think that's great. Now, so take me from there, because there's more involved here. I mean, you made all these decisions. I mean, what was the reaction from family and friends when you told them about your new project?
And that's a great question. So after the first investigation, we told, kind of explained to our parents, everything that we experienced and what we had going on there. And they were somewhat, kind of skeptical a little bit about really kind of pursuing this. And so we didn't actually start producing our videos until about the third investigation, because that's when our family kept saying, okay, you're doing this. What is it like? What does it feel like? What are you experiencing? What are you capturing? And I said, well, let's just, put together a video and I'll show you. And so our first video was actually our third investigation, which was at Fort Mifflin, which is a Revolutionary War fort in Philadelphia. And my family was really just blown away, especially from the historical aspect of it. And so my dad is a history buff. And so he loved that. And then he started seeing the things that we were capturing, and he knew that these were experiences that we were having. And so, my parents, my entire family has really become our biggest fan base. I mean, not many guys are going to wear a Soul Sisters Paranormal t-shirt, but my dad sports it, no problem. And so, because we have come from a close-knit family, and just to have the support of all of my family members behind us, it really is a blessing and a comforting feeling to know that they're there.
Oh yeah, no, that's a gift. That's an absolute gift. Now, what you talked about being in the corporate world and getting a little burnt out. What happened there?
It really just got a little bit political for me, not so much, Democrat, Republican political, but just internal conflict political with regard to the corporate world. I had been in it for so long at that point, and I was literally in the position that I had. I mean, I was on an airplane every other day. And, when you kind of wake up in a city and you said, what city am I in right now? I can't even remember. I wanted to kind of take a step back and slow down a little bit. I was in Denver at the time. And I said, I'm just going to go back to the teaching environment for a little bit. And so I did that for a few years in Denver. And then I decided to move back to Florida again to kind of help my family in their family business. So, and that really allowed me to do more of this, which is the paranormal investigation, which I really do enjoy. But like I said, that avenue of paranormal investigation has led me into this new venture with my best friend, Miranda from Ghost Biker. She and I actually opened a historical museum in Huntsville, Tennessee. So we're running that. We're running paranormal tours, historical tours, flashlight tours, and stuff like that. So it really has morphed into now a profit-making venture, and I wouldn't have that otherwise.
That's amazing. And did you say that's in Nashville?
No, it's in Huntsville, Tennessee.
In Huntsville. Okay, let me excuse me. So Huntsville. So in Huntsville, you're doing different tours throughout the cities and surrounding areas.
We're doing a tour in the city of Huntsville. What happened is we actually signed a lease with the town of Huntsville, and we rented the historic Scott County Jail, which was a jail that was built in 1904. It was in operation until 2008, and then it shut down and it sat abandoned. Most of the people in the county have some type of story related to the jail, whether they were an inmate or their family was an inmate there, or they were a jailer there. But almost to a person, everybody believes that there's some type of activity going on, unexplainable activity going on. So we kind of use those stories to kind of guide our paranormal tours and our flashlight tours. But we've had paranormal investigators go in, and there's some things that go on in that jail that we certainly cannot explain.
Very cool. That is so interesting. What a great idea too. I love that this has turned into these other opportunities for you.
Absolutely.
You started a museum. I mean, how many people can say that?
And it really is something that both Miranda and I have a passion for. Again, that historical aspect, because this was a building that if somebody didn't come in and do something with it, it was going to eventually be torn down. And we just couldn't let that happen. There's so much history that's being erased at this. For us, it's one of those things that we want to preserve it. And then I know that this is going to catapult us into other things, right? We're already doing speaking engagements with regard to how we opened our marketing strategy, our advertising strategy, and just paranormal tourism and historical preservation alone. I mean, I've done several speeches on that as well, because it's an untapped market. It's one of those things that there is money in there, and in that avenue of tourism that not a lot of people are capitalizing on, but we now have the knowledge base to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, I was thinking to myself, this is something that I would seek out. I love weird, different, unique things. Like that's what I look for when I travel anywhere. I'm always looking for the different, unique, not the maybe the typical thing that is on the top 10 list, but is really special to that area that you're just not going to find. And this is something that I would absolutely sign up for. So,
well, good. It's a hidden gem. It really is.
Yes.
It's a great little jail with a big paranormal punch, I think.
Very cool. I mean, so you've done different things, and I mean, it sounds like you were successful in the corporate world. You were a professor. You've worked in the family business. You've started your own paranormal business. Now you've started a museum. What do you feel has been your greatest success? One or two of your greatest successes, and why? And what have you learned from it?
I think, I've always, I've had a couple of great successes in my life. And I think just having tenacity and not giving up on your dreams is really a big stepping stone. There's a lot of times where I could have said, this isn't the door I think I need to walk through. But really just being tenacious about it. And then, as I said before, just having the family support. I am very fortunate and blessed to have a great support system, a great fan base. And so to have that encouragement in life, I know a lot of people don't have that. So I'm very blessed to have that. And just really, again, taking advantage of opportunities. As I said before, the paranormal investigation side of things, it was really just meant to be something that my sisters and I could get together and do a few times a year and just have a fun experience doing it. I never dreamed that we would have an actual YouTube following, that, one of our videos would go viral, and that we would get a really cool fan base on our Facebook page and other social media outlets. So it was never meant to be that. But then because of that growth, I was able to take advantage of the opportunity to open this museum, and which I might not have had otherwise. So it really does. It's one of those things where you follow the paths and they'll lead you to where they need to go. So I think really just being tenacious in following my goals and my plans, I think that's one of the things that have allowed me to be successful in this.
Absolutely. And like you said, when you're following the path that's within yourself, the one that you can feel you're supposed to be following, the one that tunes that tuning fork, and you keep going down that path, it does lead you where you're supposed to be. You just, you just keep going. And all of a sudden, all this beauty is just popping up around you. It's wonderful.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just, I've always been a firm believer that the doors will open when they need to open and they'll close when they need to close. So there's been several doors where I've been told you're not going in there anymore. So bam, it's shut. And here you go. Here's your next door or your next window. So let's move through that. And again, it's taking the opportunities, finding your dreams, finding your passions, and really pursuing them, because life is just too short to be just stuck in a grind that you're not happy with.
Yes.
And so, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to be able to take those different leaps, and have the background of my family to support me in that.
That's great. Yeah. Having family can make all the difference. It definitely is a very great big help. That's for
Amen.
sure. Now, what about the flip side? What about your greatest challenges or your greatest obstacles, big mistakes? And what did you learn from it?
There's been those too. And it's one of those things where you do have to kind of pick yourself up. Like I said, there's been times where I've had to make the decision, do I stay in this position, which is a high paying, high octane, high exposure position? Do I stay in that, or do I close that door and move on to something else? So those are decisions. I mean, I've had to make those several times in my life. And, like I said, I did make those. I did, there's some instances where I went back and kind of downgraded a little bit, took a pay cut, but in the end, it made me happy. It was something that I was able to pursue, and I wasn't, I didn't have the stress or the conflict within myself to stay in something that I wasn't comfortable with or that I morally didn't support. So to take a step back from that and to move on to something, those are big decisions.
Oh, yeah.
You just can't make them lightly, and
no.
so to be able to be in the position to make those decisions, like I said, it's been a big blessing in my life.
Oh, yeah. No, it's very hard to make those decisions. It's one of the harder things to do in life, is to make those decisions, really.
Absolutely.
And I mean, did you ever stay stuck for a while, or were you one of those people when you felt that and you knew it, you made the change?
Pretty much the latter. I've always had a strong will. I've always had a very strong personality. Again, due to my upbringing, my family has taught all of us, my sisters and I, to be strong, to follow your dreams, to not back down. And so most of the time when I come to a decision, it's one of those that I come to, I make it, and we move on. The door is closed. Here's the next opportunity. We've learned from what we've just went through, and now we're going to pursue something else, something different. But each time has led me to unique opportunities.
Yeah.
Just moving from the corporate world back into academia to teaching, I met some great people there. Some great avenues opened up for me in that regard. And again, then moving back home, again, great avenues there, learning experiences there. And then, like I said, the paranormal investigation thing, it was just meant to be this interesting hobby, but it's opened something that I enjoy, that it makes me happy. Now it's a financial commitment now, which I enjoy. So, like I said, it's just one of those things that you just follow the path and it'll take you where you need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your personal definition of success? And based on that, what do you think is key to having continued success throughout life?
I think my personal definition of it would be something that makes you happy, that you can wake up every day and say, okay, I'm following my moral compass. I am successful in doing that. Money aspect in it, a financial aspect in it, but that's really not, in my mind, the driving force. Like I said, I've walked away from 6-figure jobs, because I didn't feel that I was going to compromise who I was to maintain that type of a salary or that type of a position. So for me personally, it's following those things that you can pursue that's going to make you happy, and in the long run, just make you personally feel successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, operating a museum in Huntsville, Tennessee, that makes me happy right now. Is it going to buy me a Learjet? Probably not, but that's not important to me. That's not my idea of success. My idea of success is waking up, connecting with people, letting them know my story, letting them know the story of the historical component of where we're at, the historical jail and stuff, and letting them have that experience. And so for me, that's my definition of success. And that's personal. Just going out there, pursuing your dreams and what makes you happy.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Now, for people who aren't pursuing their dreams and they aren't pursuing the things that make them happy, is there any advice that you would give them?
Honestly, just kind of reverse course, and do that. As I said, I'm in a unique position to be able to do that. I do have the background that if this doesn't work, I can fall back on my other experiences. I can pick up again as a college professor or something like that. So I have that safety net. So it's not easy. I mean, I know it's not easy for everybody to do that, to just, change course and pursue their dreams. But I would feel really, I think, upset if I get to the year 60, 70, or 80, and I look back and I say, I didn't get to do anything that made me happy. There was no real joy in my career or joy in my daily life. And so just when you realize that life is short, you don't want to get to the end of it and say, well, what have I done this for when I could have been doing this? Just make the change. And if it's something that you need to switch back from, then you can do that. But for me, it is really one of those things where I think you need to pivot and move to something that does make you happy, that will bring you joy when you look back on what you've accomplished in life.
Oh, completely agree. Yeah, that's good advice. Completely agree. And then what about during your struggles, during your difficult times? How do you push through your worst times? Let's be honest, a lot of people have gone through some really hard times.
Yeah. Again, for me, I can only speak for myself. It's been my support group for my family, being able to bounce ideas and questions and problems off my sisters, off my parents, even my aunts and uncles. I know that I can call them 24/7. I have a great network of friends who the same way. I can call them, I can speak to them about what is going on, and really just help me formulate a coherent decision, if you will, on what to do and how to make that change or that pivot. And again, I can say this, that I am fortunate. I know that not everybody has that network or that support group, but then in my mind, you need to find somebody like that. You need to find somebody that you can rely on to bounce those ideas off and talk it through. And that's really what has gotten me through, kind of the lower points or the struggling points or the indecisiveness on some issues, is really just be able to talk through it with people who know what I'm going through and understand. And then, give me a smack in the head when I need it. Just say,
Yes.
No, this isn't going to happen. Just let's do this instead. Or have you thought about this? A support group and a network is really something that's important.
Yeah, agree. Like you said, the sounding board.
Yeah,
Sometimes you do need a
exactly.
smack in the head every once in a while.
Yeah,
You need
exactly.
someone that
It's
you
like,
trust who will give that to you.
oh yeah, nothing better than a twin sister or a younger sister in that regard.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Now, did you face any struggles or challenges entering into this field? Because it's a unique field to be jumping into. I don't know if you like, if you have to have some cred or what have you. Like, what was that like for you?
There is a credibility level with what we do with the paranormal investigation aspect of it. It is to some extent a male driven field. There are a lot of female paranormal investigators, but it's kind of a different challenge for the females in the community. I think we have to kind of build ourselves up a little bit more. But then again, we do have a support community here as well. I mean, the paranormal community, when you find those that are like minded, that are in it for what I call the right reasons, i.e., the pursuit of history and the pursuit of paranormal investigations to find answers to what happens next. I think that there is a strong bond there with that community. That, like I said, I met my best friend and now business owner, co-owner with me, Miranda. We met through the paranormal world. And so she's another paranormal investigator, a female paranormal investigator. So we met on a collaboration investigation about 2 years ago, and we formed a connection of a very strong friendship. And now we're co-owners together of this
Very cool.
of History Highways and Haunts in Huntsville. But yeah, so there is that kind of you do have to kind of prove yourself, if you will. That's why when we first started, in order to build our portfolio, we did start investigating some of the most reportedly haunted locations in the country. I mean, our very first investigation, as I said, was West Virginia State Penitentiary. From there, we went to Villisca Ax Murder House, the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and these are larger locations in the paranormal community. So to be able to investigate them and find some compelling evidence, that really did kind of build us up in the community. And so through that, we've made some amazing friends, both others in the community as well as a really interesting fan base. And we love our fans. There are several that are with us no matter what investigation we go on or what video evidence we put out there. So that's really cool, just to have somebody contact you and say, hey, I've watched your videos and thank you for what you do. And can I buy a t-shirt? And now I'm a fan. And so again, I never dreamt that that would morph into what it has morphed into, but it's absolutely a blessing in my life.
Oh, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Now tell me, what has been the most intense place that you've stayed?
Well, I'll give you the first one. I'll give you two, but the first one was the old Gilchrist County Jail in Trenton, Florida. This is a location that's about an hour's west of Gainesville, Florida. And, it was a jail that was in operation from 1928 to 1968. It's a small county jail. It's got 4 cells on the first floor and 4 cells on the top floor. There's a small jailer's cottage in the back that's connected to the jail via a doorway. And this location is not in the best part of the county. In fact, when we investigated there the first time, the owner said there was just 2 females, myself and Miranda, that were going to do this investigation. And the owner said, do y'all have handguns? Do you carry handguns? And we're like, yes, we carry. And she said, I highly recommend that you carry your guns with you at all times during the night, because this is the area that we're located in, right? Because I mean, there's a lot of different activity that goes on, not just of the paranormal variety.
Yeah.
So we
Different level of intense happening there.
Yeah, exactly. So she and I went into the jail. We were there by ourselves for the night, nobody else on the property. And when we first went in, we weren't feeling anything. We weren't picking up anything. None of our equipment was indicating that there was anything paranormal going on. And so Miranda said, I wonder if they think we're law enforcement because we have our guns on. And I said, well, let's try taking them off and see what happens. So there was a cot in the cell that we were in. So I took my gun off and I put it on the cot, and she took hers out of her holster. And as she's putting it down on the cot, she says, I'm putting my gun down nice and slowly. And behind us, a male's voice said, good. And we both heard it. We captured it on our voice recorder. And after that, the night was really on. We were seeing shadow figures. We were capturing them on camera. We heard voices in the moment. Again, we're the only 2 people in the building. We heard voices talking to us in the moment. We captured them on our stationary voice recorders. Again, we saw shadow figures. All of our equipment was indicating that something was going on because there's no power in the building at all. There's no electricity. And so when you deploy devices that are designed to measure magnetic energy, and yet there's no energy in the building. When things act upon it, that's extremely compelling. And so
Yeah.
that night, everything that we had was alarming. So that was probably the most intense investigation that we'd been on. Another one that I really enjoyed was the Grand Old Lady Hotel in Balsam, North Carolina. And so this was a hotel that was built in 1905, and it was built as part of the railway system that runs through the mountains there in Balsam, North Carolina. And so it was a great hotel. It was very opulent when it was built, 3 stories. It had 100 guest rooms, a grand ballroom, a large kitchen and dining area. And so when we investigated there a couple years ago, we rented out the entire building. So it was just 3 of us for a weekend for the entire, inside the entire building. So we had control of the building and the property. And so on Friday night, Miranda did her investigation. And then Saturday night, my twin sister Jenny and I, we conducted our investigation, and we had objects moving on us. So we had a table overturned in front of us. We had a coffee pot turn on inside the kitchen when we asked something to happen. And so on that Saturday night, we all decided to sleep in, so they have different room structures. So single rooms, double rooms, and they also have suites. And so one of the suites that we decided to sleep in, it had 2 rooms, an interior room and an exterior room, but the entire suite was accessed through one doorway that went into the hall. So we had the door shut, that hallway door shut, and a night vision video camera on the inside and a night vision video camera on the outside. So we had control of that environment. And we had voice recorders by the beds that we were sleeping in. And so you hear us say our goodnights, and everything is quiet for about 15 minutes. And a man's voice outside the bedroom door said, "Please don't go." And we captured it. Miranda said, "What was that?" And I said, "There's a man standing outside our door." And she's like, "Yeah, that's what I thought." But yet there's no man there. There's nobody else on the property. So that was a great investigation for us. Every place that we've been has really had some compelling evidence that we just can't explain.
It gives me the little shivers on this side over here just talking about it. What is it like for you, like when you're in it and go, like living it?
It's interesting, it's different than the popular media portrays, right? So you can watch a ghost show on television right now, or a haunted paranormal show on television, and essentially it's instant gratification where you have an investigation in 15 minutes, they talk about it for 15 minutes, and then they wrap up the evidence in the last 30 minutes of the show. And that's really not how it is. For us, we're sitting there for sometimes hours. We're not, hearing anything or whatever. It's kind of like fishing. So there's long periods of silence. There's long periods of just sitting there in the darkness. But when something happens, it's definitely an adrenaline rush. There are a lot of times where we'll leave an investigation and feel like we hadn't really captured anything, but yet we go back and we review our audio and video footage, and we found that we've captured a lot of compelling evidence. For example, we investigated the Lizzie Borden House in Fall Rivers, Massachusetts, and this is the site of the 1892 deaths of Andrew Borden and Abby Borden, where they were bludgeoned to death by an axe. The prime suspect was Lizzie Borden. She was acquitted of the murder, but we had these 2 deaths in this house, and today it's one of the most haunted locations in the country. So when we went, the very first thing that we do when we go to investigation, we turn on our voice recorders right as we cross the threshold, because we want them running no matter what we're doing. So we were setting up all of our equipment. Again, our voice recorders are going, and Jenny and Michelle are standing in the parlor just talking, just like we're talking, just about normal day stuff, while the rest of us are kind of combing the house, putting up stationary equipment. And so you can just hear them talking. And on the voice recorder, we captured a man's voice saying, "I'm standing right here next to you." Yet there's nobody else in that room with them. So that was really intense. But again, it was intense because we heard it afterwards, but not in the moment. About an hour later, Jenny and Cara were sitting in that same living room, and they were talking about the differences between the Villisca Ax Murder House and the Lizzie Borden House. We had been to the Villisca Ax Murder House earlier that year, and Cara said, being axed to death would be a horrible way to die. And we captured a man's voice saying it was. And so again, that's just, one of the things that they did not hear in the moment, but when we go back and listen to it, it's extremely compelling. 1, because there's no man there, and 2, because this voice is responding intelligently to the conversation.
Crazy. That's crazy.
It really is.
Now, is it difficult to get access to these places? I mean, when you decided to do this, did you know you'd be able to?
We did to some extent. Now there are some locations like the Lizzie Borden House or the Villisca Ax Murder House that you can rent specifically for this purpose. So the larger quote unquote commercial locations like a Lizzie Borden House or Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, we decided to go on these investigations and rent those properties out because, as I said before, we really wanted to build our portfolio and add to the knowledge base of paranormal activity. But we've had a lot of locations that will call us and say, I know what you do. I've seen your website. I've seen your videos. Will you come and investigate our location? And they'll allow us just to come in for the night and do that investigation. And then we will have private residents or private people who own a house or a business. They'll call us and say, hey, can you come investigate my house? Can you come investigate my business and tell me if there's anything that you think is haunted going on? Because I think that there is. So we have both of those that I consider, like I said, the commercial side, and those that are private residents, those type of investigations.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. And yours is mainly investigation. You're not trying to communicate with them. You're more investigating if it's happening.
Correct. Now, now we will sit down and try to communicate with them. For us, it really is. We go in with a sense of respect for the history of the location as well as any spirit that we're trying to contact. And so we're not mediums per se. We're not, psychics or anything like that. We're going in with that sense of research and that sense of exploration. We also go in with a sense of healthy skepticism. So the first thing that we try to do is we try to account for anything paranormal that could be caused by environmental factors like light pollution, noise pollution, anything like that. So that's what we go in with the mindset of. And then when we control for all of those things, what we're left with is unexplainable. So as I said before, when we're in a location where there's 4 females investigating, yet I'm capturing a man's voice or I'm capturing a child's voice, that's unexplainable to me. And so we don't go into, like I said, to sit down and have a seance or anything like that. We go in to see if we can communicate with them and really get their story. So if you watch any of our videos, the theme that we always have throughout is, can we tell your story? Will you allow us to do that? And we've been fortunate enough to do that. Yeah.
Very cool. That's very respectful. Because I would imagine that opens them up to wanting, to being open to communicating.
It really does. And go ahead.
I was going to say, everyone wants to share their story.
You're absolutely right. And that's my common theme that I say, the very core of human existence is to be recognized. Nobody wants to go through life thinking that they're invisible. And that's the same thing with the spirits. They do want their story told. And if we can do that, if we can and put that really out there for our audience, then that's what we're going to do.
Really cool. It's really cool. Now, from everything that you've learned, what do you think has benefited you the most in life?
Honestly, I really just think having the strong spirit, internal spirit, not paranormal spirit, just having a strong spirit, really being able to face challenges, knowing when to say no, but also not being afraid to say no or not being afraid to say yes, and really just kind of, again, follow your passions, but have the strength and the courage to do it. I've talked to, I'm able to talk to somebody who works on the TSA security line. I've been able to work with them, but I've also spoken to members of Congress. So to be able to have that strength of character, to be able to really know what you're speaking about and have the courage to do that, I think that's one of the things that I think has really benefited me throughout this entire journey of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And what about, has there been a certain talk or a movie, a book that you've read that has had a big impact on your life that you think others might benefit from as well?
I do watch a lot of movies. I read a lot of books, and this may sound really corny, but Star Wars. One of my favorite movies is Star Wars, and I actually wrote my college essay exam on Star Wars.
Did you?
Because yes, I did, and it was too.
Tell us, what was it about? What was it about?
Really,
what was the theme?
Well, the theme was really, again, just following your passion. So if you know the original the story of the 1977 Star Wars version, it is one of somebody that wants to pursue their dreams and they make it happen. And so even though you can't move object with your mind, you to be able to think that you can really, again, have to give you that strength to move really mountains, to find your goals, to reach your goals. And so that was really, I'm kind of paraphrasing, obviously, but that was really the theme of the college essay exam. And I wrote it on Star Wars.
I love that that's so in line with your strengths in life and the things that have served you so well in life. It's a nice correlation there. Isn't it interesting? Is there anything unfinished for you? I mean, you just started your museum. I'm curious, do you have these other things on the horizon that you're thinking about for next and next?
Oh, absolutely. So, like I said, we did open the jail there in Huntsville, Tennessee to tours, general history tours and paranormal tours. But, for us, that's really just the beginning. It's interesting because we are a 2-person team, we're 2 females, a 2-person team. And we've designed what I feel is just this amazing concept from advertising and marketing and pitching our concept to promoting our concept to really building our entire brand. I mean, it really looks like and has a feel of a big corporate business, but it's just the 2 of us. I mean, we do everything from,
Yeah.
Designing the website to designing the t-shirts and all of that to, I mean, plumbing in the building. So it's just the 2 of us doing all of this. But
Plumbing
yet
in
it
the
has a
building.
large yeah, yeah. Yes, it's an old building, so things go on a lot. So to be able to do that, I mean, I am, very proud of what we've done. I mean, Miranda and I couldn't ask for a better business partner than Miranda Young. But I think, my strengths with regard to being in corporate world and her strengths of being a graphic designer and a marketing genius, really, I think it has really allowed us to show people what we can do. And so because of that, we're going to take the Huntsville model and try to incorporate that in other locations. As I said before, we've
Great.
already had several people ask us to come and speak on paranormal tourism and historic preservation. And so for us, we want to take that and continue that, whether it be consulting and allow and help other businesses grow like that. That's what we want to do. That's where our passion lies. So, if we can consult and help other historical locations do what we've done, we've gotten recognition, we've gotten tours booked and people coming in and buying our merchandise and stuff. So I'm very proud of what we've accomplished. And I think that's just going to lead to better things.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. I congratulate you. And I'm excited to see what you do
Well, thank
because
you.
I think I can definitely see that going far and wide and I will follow. I will check it out.
Oh, well, thank
And
you. I really
and
appreciate that.
and for people who are interested in checking, coming to check out your museum or learning about your show on YouTube and finding more information about you, where can they find that?
Well, on the Soul Sister side, we're Soul Sisters Paranormal, and our website is www.soulsistersparanormal.com. We're very active on Facebook under Soul Sisters Paranormal, and our YouTube channel is under Soul Sisters Paranormal as well. For the historic Scott County Jail, we are located in Huntsville, Tennessee. Our website is www.historicscottcojail.com. Again, we're also very active on Facebook under Historic Scott County Jail. And anything you want to know, if you want to book a tour or, give us a call and arrange a private paranormal investigation, we can absolutely do that. So, or if you want our consulting
Fantastic.
services, let us know as well.
Very cool. All right. My final 2 questions are based on curiosity. First, did you ever dress up as Ghostbusters for Halloween growing up?
Not growing up, but last year I did.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Perfect.
I had the suit, I had the proton pack, I had the whole little utility belt with all of the stuff. Yes. So
Yes. I
yes,
did too 7 years ago.
there you go, girl.
One of my favorite costumes.
There you go.
All right. Last question. What are you sure of in life?
In life, I'm sure that I'm going to be successful no matter what I do, whether, like I said, whether it's run a museum or, write a book or whatever, I'm sure of that. And as I said before, it's going to reach my definition of success. And that entails being happy and just having a great support system. I'm happy with that. So I'm
Fantastic.
sure of that.
I love it. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful, Kristy. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on Fresh Blood.
Thank you. Have a great night.
I so enjoyed Kristy's story. I love that after 9/11, she took that horrific impact of that day and she found a way that she could make a change for the better. She went into aviation security and she helped keep us all safe while we're up in the air. Once she excelled in that role, she turned to helping others learn how to do the same, and she became a college professor, further aiding our aviation security by teaching the future. Just really quick, thank you for that time spent, Kristy. After a while, the travel and corporate burnout became too much. Kristy listened to that voice inside that said it was enough, and she took a break. As Kristy mentioned, she was lucky to have a strong, supportive, and loving family throughout life. And when she was ready for a break, she was able to go home and assist with her family's property management. This gave her time to reevaluate her life and take some time to think about what she wanted. Given that time, Kristy was also able to think about the things that greatly interested her. Kristy shared how she had always had a fascination with the paranormal, as did her sister, and they always promised themselves that they would jump if ever given the chance to do a paranormal investigation. When they were given that opportunity to visit and then subsequently spend the night at a haunted penitentiary, they did what they had promised themselves. They jumped and they made it happen. They loved it. They wanted more. So they did more. Now, this might seem like a simple thing, but it is not. It is a great, huge, wonderful thing that we all need to emulate. What do you love to do? What brings you joy? What jumpstarts that brain into a million questions and curiosity? Now, how much time are you giving that love, that joy, that curiosity in your life? Unfortunately, finding that personal joy, that curiosity, adding things that you love to do during your week, it is way too far down the list for a huge percentage of the population. If you do not have something that you are looking forward to, it is time to fix that situation right now. What can you add to your calendar that will bring you joy? It can be small, but add something to your weekly calendar that will light you up, that thing that you can look forward to. And then think about the big ones that you can add along the way. Kristy and her sister continued with their investigations, and soon their family and friends became curious. What's going on here? When they shared what they were doing, they were given the amazing encouragement to keep it going. And I applaud this family. We should all be so lucky to have an amazing support system. They turned their experiences into a YouTube channel, which gained a following and led to more and more investigations. This led to new doors and opportunities, which resulted in the start of a new museum, the preservation of an old building, speaking engagements, and the creation of history tours. Through it all, Kristy has become an industry expert. All because a couple of sisters decided to pursue a long-standing passion. Story after story proves the power of following the path of your greatest interests. It is truly incredible. As Kristy shared, having the tenacity to go after her passion and dreams has led to amazing opportunities. Just like when we heard from previous fresh blood guests about their passions for Lego, handwriting analysis, cabaret singing, children's books, inventions, mentoring, comic books, ballroom dancing, languages, and so much more. They turned their personal passions into amazing, uplifting, fulfilling careers. And you can too. You do not have to quit your job. You do not have to make drastic changes. You just have to make it a priority to add the joy, add the passion, add the curiosity. Say yes to any opportunities that come your way that could possibly, even potentially light you up. Follow and see where it takes you. You never know what might happen, but your worst case scenario is you will have a much more joyful and happy life. For Kristy, it led to an entirely new career and life calling. Kristy is living her successful life, and I am wishing the same for you. Kristy shares that making these transitions, it isn't easy, and what helped her get through is that sheer tenacity, not giving up on her dreams, which is an essential element to any success story. This is why following your passion, following your why, is so important. It is so much easier to be tenacious, so much easier to not give up when you are deeply connected to what you are doing. When you love what you're doing, you are much more likely to keep going through the hard times. Having that family support was another key factor that helped Kristy along with her success. Having a supportive family or friends, having an encouraging fan base of some sort will make a huge difference in helping you reach your goals. Having people that are ready to assist, to listen, to boost you up when you are feeling down can make a huge impact in life. But not everyone has a ready-made supportive family. We are all born into different situations, and for any variety of reasons, we may not have loved ones alive or near, and that's okay. Families can be created anytime, anywhere. Find your new connections through your passions and your interests. Sign up for groups, go to events, show up over and over at the places that bring you joy, and you will find others there doing the same. A very natural place to connect over interests. There are countless options out there, both online and in person. Just make a list of your interests and start looking up groups and events today. Look what happened for Kristy. She met someone through a mutual interest of the paranormal, and now she has a new business partner that she started a museum and ghost tours with. Who knows what kind of light, new, like-minded individuals could bring into your life? Put yourself out there for friendship. It does take time, but the effort is well worth it. If you're looking for a way to connect when you meet other people, take a note from my conversation with Kristy. Everyone wants to share their story. Everyone wants to be visible, to be seen, and to be recognized. So start there. When you meet new people, ask them about their story. Be curious. I loved Kristy's definition of success, doing something that makes you happy, following your own moral compass. And I love that Kristy is living her definition of success. She is following her dreams. She walked away from a hugely successful job because it stopped making her happy. She listened to that internal voice, making the hard decision in order to find the right opportunity for her life. Kristy knew that life is too short, much too short, to stay stuck in a grind that you are unhappy in. I commend her for making the leap. I applaud her for taking the time to find the thing that lights her up, for being brave enough to say yes to the new opportunities that came her way, and then for finding a way to help others learn how to do the same. And that is my wish for us all, that every day you look for ways to bring joy, and that you are brave enough to say yes to the right opportunities that come your way. Until next time. Thank you for joining us on Fresh Blood. Please subscribe and follow us on all streaming services, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Player FM. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Fresh Blood Podcast. I would love your help in spreading these stories and important messages. Please give us a like and share with a friend. Your help is greatly appreciated. I hope you make today a most fulfilling day.